star of service.
Not with us. Digicel officially has the best mobile coverage in Guyana. Ookla, the company behind Speedtest, recognizes Digicel as the network with the best mobile coverage in Guyana. Be it in Georgetown or in NI, we got you covered. Digicel, better together.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. The U.S. President Joe Biden on Friday slammed ExxonMobil, his country's leading oil producer, for being reluctant to drill more oil fields so that it can benefit from skyrocketing prices for oil and gas as supply shrinks. Biden outrightly stated that the posture of the company was reflective of sheer greed, as it sits back and watches inflation rise in country, much to the benefit of its shareholders' pockets. He went on to say that Exxon had made more money than God this year. According to a CNBC report, inflation in May rose at levels not seen since the early 1980s. Expounding on the inflationary pressures facing his people, Biden blamed Russian President Vladimir Putin for his invasion of Ukraine, which led to shortages in the market and record high gasoline prices. Meanwhile, Guyana's third Extractive Industries Transparency Report has made yet another call for the government to release all mining contracts, especially those dealing with large-scale operations. Since becoming a member of the global body, the report notes that the government agreed to adhere to several requirements. In this case, EITI Requirement 2.4a of the 2019 standard states that Guyana should publicly disclose all mineral agreements entered into force prior to the reporting period, in this case 2019. Importantly, the report highlights that the country's Mining Act of 1989 does not include any expressed restrictions on the public disclosure of mineral agreements and licenses by the government. In other news, with a meager $5 increase added as a penalty for the flaring of gas associated with oil production at the Liza 1 field in the Stabroek Block, leader of the opposition Aubrey Norton has concluded that the PPP is encouraging the destruction of the environment. Norton gave this view on the matter during a press conference hosted on Tuesday. The opposition leader explained that while the laws of Guyana are strong enough to protect the environment, the government has not been enforcing the constitution to deter the oil and gas operator ExxonMobil from flaring. The government renewed the permit for the Liza 1 operations on May 31st last, ignoring the calls from industry experts to secure a better deal from the oil company first. And Esso has pegged its fourth development in the Stabroek Block, namely Yellowtail, as providing the best returns in the industry currently. This was divulged recently by ExxonMobil Guyana partner John Hess. According to Hess, with the Liza 1 and 2 operations already underway, the coming on stream of the third development, Payara, along with the Yellowtail project, will see revenues for Hess increasing by $1 billion per each ship for its 30% interest in the Stabroek Block. And moving on, 3 agencies attached to the Ministry of Agriculture signed 12 contracts on Friday, totaling some $491.5 million for the procurement and supply of critical machinery that would advance developmental works in the agriculture sector. The simple ceremony, which took place at the ministry's boardroom, saw Guy Suko signing 9 contracts totaling $457 million. The Guyana Marketing Corporation signing 2 contracts totaling $18.8 million, and the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority signing 1 totaling $14.7 million. And moving on, 25-year-old Quentin Bacchus, a resident of Golden Grove, East Coast Demerara, was on Friday afternoon shot dead at Haslington by police. Bacchus was reportedly shot multiple times to his body around 14:30 by a plainclothes rank during a sting operation. Ranks had received information earlier that day from an acquaintance of Bacchus, a construction worker, that he, Bacchus, had a gun to sell. And moving on, as the supply lines to fossil fuels remain shaky, the U.S. government has instituted new measures to ensure a stable, clean, and cheap generation of electricity for its people. On June 6th last, President Joe Biden issued presidential determinations providing the U.S. Department of Energy with the authority to utilize the Defense Production Act to accelerate domestic production of 5 key energy technologies. These include solar, transformers and electric grid components, heat pumps, insulation and electrolyzers, fuel cells, and platinum group metals. And now let's tell you, in its present oil deal with ExxonMobil, Guyana merely receives profit after 75% is withdrawn to cover operational expenses. But one Guyanese professor believes that Guyana could gain more by amending the cost recovery ceiling from 75% to 50%. Dr. Taran Kamraj, who holds a PhD in economics, pointed out that revenue must be split between ExxonMobil and Guyana, leaving the country with a smaller portion. And to wrap things up this evening, let's tell you that instead of the random doling out of cash transfers via one-off grants to particular groups within the country, local commentators continue to urge the government to take a structured and impactful approach to such an initiative so as to ensure more Guyanese benefit. The government has provided, among other things, one-off payments of $100,000 to disabled children, $150,000 to fishers, $25,000 to riverine communities, and about $1 billion in free fertilizers to be distributed to farmers. While the transfers will support these various groups, concerns remain over the fact that the distributions do not seem to be provided from an equitable standpoint. And that brings us to the end of this evening's newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Do have a wonderful